I want to talk with you about the topic I title, Maximizing Your Income. By a show of hands, is there anyone here that could stand for a little bit more money? You picked the right Sunday. You picked the right service to attend. I want us to look in Matthew chapter 25. And what we'll find is that income capacity is important to God. In fact, roughly 16 of the 38 parables of Jesus dealt with money, possession, or the management of money. And this series, or this sermon, is the final sermon in my series, a 6-week series on the 1322 challenge, which comes from Proverbs 13:22, which says, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." So we're called to not just think about ourselves and be consumers of everything we make. We're called to think about the generation that follows us, regardless if we have children or grandchildren. And so the Lord sets for us a goal that we have in front of us. Impact future generations by how you live today. Matthew 25 and verse 14, Jesus is teaching about what the kingdom of heaven is like. He says, "Again, it will be like a man going on a journey, who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. 'Master,' he said, 'you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I've gained 5 more.' His master replied, 'Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness.' The man with 2 bags of gold also came. 'Master,' he said, 'you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I've gained 2 more.' His master replied, 'Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness.' Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. 'Master,' he said, 'I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here's what belongs to you.' His master replied, 'You wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And I'd love to have been there. It's amazing how Jesus can tell a story. And every parable, a story that he tells, always has deep levels of meaning. And they always show us ourselves as we listen, and they show us the heart of God. In this parable, the servant that received 5 bags of gold, 2 bags of gold, or 1 bag of gold, we can see ourselves there somewhere among those servants. The master, that typified God, goes on a journey, gives us responsibility, and those responsibilities that he doles out are based upon our ability. I wonder how it rolled out or played out when the master was explaining to his servants that he's going on a journey. "Guys, come on, I'm going on a journey. I want to talk to you." The guys come. And the scripture says that to one, he gave 5 bags of gold. Based on their ability. To another, he gave 2 bags of gold. Based on his ability. There you go. And to the third servant, he gave 1 bag of gold based on his ability. Now, we ought not to be mistaken. 1 bag of gold was equivalent to $95,000. I'm sorry, $19,000. 2 bags, $38,000. 5 bags, $95,000. This bag of gold, 1 bag of gold in first century, was equivalent to 20 years' wage for a day laborer. So this 1 bag, don't look down your nose at it, that's akin to you working for 20 years. And the master wanted to make sure that they were going to work his money. So the master goes on a journey, and the servants then took the money to go and make things happen. That's what God does with you and me. Each of us has gifts based on our ability. Each of us have a work ethic, a work style. Each of us has been entrusted with resources from God that we ought to manage, be stewards of. And Jesus was very careful to point this fact out, that when the master returned, he wanted to make sure that he held his servants accountable, so he needed them to give an account upon his return. So he returns and then calls his servant to give an account. This servant, I gave you 5 bags of gold, now you have another 5. 10 bags of gold. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I'm going to cause you to be ruled over many things. Come and share your master's happiness. This other servant, I gave you 2 bags of gold. You doubled it. You have 4 bags of gold. Good job. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You've been faithful in a few things. I'm going to put you as rule over many things. Come and share your master's happiness. I gave you 1 bag of gold, and you just brought it back. We're going to need to talk. And the conversation is going to get pretty intense. So I'm going to let these guys go away, and we're going to talk. If I was the pastor, for the servant who had received the 1 bag of gold, $19,000, equivalent to 20 years' wage, before he ran off and dug a hole in the ground and buried his master's money, I wish he would have an appointment with me. And he'll say to me, Pastor, let's give that person's name Marco. I would say, what's going on, Marco? He said, I just was given $19,000. I don't know what to do with it. How do I make this money work and grow? I would say to him, do what you enjoy. See, if you're going to maximize your income, don't overlook how you make money. Do what you enjoy. See, what you enjoy fuels you. It doesn't drain you. It gives you energy, excitement, enthusiasm, because you enjoy it. Happiness in your work, it creates feelings of pleasure, passion, sense of purpose. Don't overlook the simplicity of starting right there when it comes to increasing your income. Start right where, when you do something, you enjoy doing it. Let me ask you this question. What do you enjoy doing? What gives you a deep sense of satisfaction? What brings a deep sense of pleasure to you? And how can you monetize that? Deuteronomy 8, verse 18 says, God speaking, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms His covenant, which He swore to your ancestors, as it is today." This verse of Scripture is telling me something very significant. God has no problem with you making money. He has no problem whatsoever with you making lots of money. It only becomes a problem if you idolize money and make money your God. In fact, God says, I give you the ability to produce wealth. So it's not a moral issue if you make money. It's not an ethical issue to make lots of money. It's not a theological problem to make money hand over fist. God says it's only a problem when money becomes your God. Don't make it become your God, and I got your back. And I had the opportunity to talk to that servant and caught him before he went and did something foolish by burying his master's money, I would say to him, do what you enjoy. You enjoy sports? Why not get a part-time job as a referee? He said, I can do that? Yeah, you can do that. Rather than you just watching the game at home, it may be a high school game that you ref for. You will play vicariously through those players. See, money is attracted to happy people. People that find satisfaction in what they do. I don't know if you've ever heard of the former NFL player, Al Bubba Baker. Bubba is his nickname. He played for 12 years in the NFL, becoming one of the most feared pass rushers. And in 2004, the Sports Illustrated magazine, they voted him 9th greatest pass rusher in NFL history. After playing 12 seasons, when Al Bubba Baker retired, he didn't know what to do. I mean, he's in his mid-30s, he's his whole life ahead of him. What do I do? And then he answered the question as to what to do by asking himself this question: what do I enjoy doing? You know what he enjoyed? He enjoyed making ribs. And so, by 2014, he and his daughter Brittany, they were bringing in $154,000 in sales by opening up a rib restaurant and catering business. And then they went on the Shark Tank in 2014. One of the sharks, Damon John, he then said, I'm going to want 30% equity in your business, and I'm going to invest $300,000 in your business and in your deboning technique. And then, fast forward to 2017, they brought back Al Bubba Baker back on the show to say, what has happened since the shark invested in your business? And Al Bubba Baker said that my sales has shot up to $16 million a year. What did he do? He just did what he enjoyed. Some of you are saying, I enjoy ribs, but you just enjoy eating ribs. That's your problem. So you start there. Don't complicate this issue of maximizing your income. Do what you enjoy. If you don't know what you enjoy, I would have told that servant with the one bag of gold, do what you're good at. See, what you're good at, it comes easy, it comes natural to you. Doing what you're good at, it shows that you accept God's natural wiring of your life. The personality that you have, the style that you have, the temperament, all of that is God's natural imprint upon your life. I remember having this very transformative conversation with my youngest daughter when she was about 10 or 12 years old. I'm taking Jessica to school. And somehow the conversation morphed to a topic of personality and how we must accept who we are. And I said, Jessica, I'm wired by God to handle crisis. I don't know why God wired me that way, but I don't fall apart during crisis. In fact, I come alive during crisis. And do you know, when I fast forward, I've monetized that aspect of who I am. I take off my pastoral hat, I put on my consultant hat, David Ireland PhD hat, and I go into some corporate settings, a lot of crisis. And I'm staid, I'm composed, and I help them sort through all the mess, and then they pay me. You got to figure out what you do good at. Well, what are you good at doing? See, this servant, he didn't go that route. He dug a hole in the ground, buried his master's money, and he would have received, had he said, let me go and do what I'm good at, he would have received the master's affirmation, the master's approval, the master's advancement. But instead, what he received was the master's criticism, the master's correction, and the master's condemnation. I don't want that to be what I receive. Let me ask you the question, because you want to maximize your income. What are you good at doing? Monetize it. What do others praise you for? Monetize it. What are you called upon to do regularly because you do a really great job with that? Monetize it. See, sometimes the things that we do well, we take it for granted because we think it's so simple. That's how God wired you. Are you good at teaching? Here's an American on the screen we see who's teaching English to a Chinese girl online. Doesn't leave her home, and she's monetized her gift to teach English. It's amazing how the web that can have so much bad stuff has a lot of great opportunities. There's one of the teaching platforms called Udemy, U-D-E-M-Y. It actually is a platform where if you teach something because you're good at it, you can teach someone how to become a clown and you get paid. You can teach someone horseback riding, you get paid. You can even teach someone, there's one teacher on there says, you want to text a girl to invite her out on a date and you just don't know what to say? I'll tell you what to say for $12.99. I mean, for you single guys, I can beat that. I can cut that. I'll tell you what to say for $10. Meet me at the door afterwards. I mean, you can say it. Sweetheart, every time I think about you, a smile comes to my face. In fact, right now, as I'm writing this text, I'm smiling. I'd love to have a meal with you so you can see how authentic I am. And I'd like to talk with you about a 1322 life. Let's meet on Friday. Dinner's on me. Then the guy says, should I press send now? I said, no. Put a smiley face. Now press send. And you said, Pastor, how do you know all that? How do you think I'm married for 36 years? I got lines. See, the idea is that you may say, well, what's the big deal? $12.99 for a text. Multiply that by 1,000. Multiply that by 10,000. Here you are walking while you're talking to your friend. You're going like this. They say, what are you doing? He said, I'm making $12.99. See, you do what you're good at. Some 11 million people used to tune in weekly to watch the cable program, The Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan. He was born on this dirt poor farm in Mexico where the people in the community used to call him El Perrero, Spanish for the dog man. Because this guy, he had a way with dogs. Dogs made sense to him. Fast forward, He has a company, Cesar Millan Incorporated, through his TV program, through speaking engagements, through executive leadership seminars, through a line of organic dog foods, through fortified water, through shampoos, through toys for dogs that's sold at Petco. He's pulling down about $100 million a year. Why? He's doing what he does well. He's doing what he does good. What are you good at? You may say, well, you got to do what you're good at. There are lots of things you're good at. And if I'm talking to that guy with the one bag of gold, he says, Pastor, I don't know what I enjoy, and I don't know what I'm good at. Then you know what I tell him? Do something to solve people's problems. When you do something to solve people's problems, that's where the money is. In fact, when you think about the idea of that, is that can you help get a mom who has a 2-year-old to eat 3 meals a day? There's a website called prizes.org. And the person comes on and says, look, I'll pay $25 who can help me to get my kid to eat 3 meals a day. Here's another, because this prizes.org site says, we have a problem. Can you help solve our problem? And so one chef comes on and says, look, can you offer me a chocolate dessert recipe? I'll pay you $25 for a recipe. It's amazing. Simple things like that there's this unique side hustle that you can get just solving people's problems. Can you do that? Here's a side hustle, the potty whisperer. Oh, don't laugh. This woman is good at helping little kids learn to use the potty. She has a range of prices based on how many 90-minute sessions you want her to have with you, and this is done virtually. She doesn't have to come to your home. It ranges from $450 to $3,800. You say, wow, that's a lot of money. There's money when it comes to helping someone learn how to potty train their kid. You may say, well, I did that with my kids. Hey, you need to learn how to do that with other people's kids. Monetize it. See, sometimes we don't recognize that there's money in poop. One of the members of the church was telling me how her nephew paid his way through college by going around and cleaning up geese poop in the backyard of people. See, some of you look and say, what's that? I said, what's that? You said, poop. I asked him, what's that? He says, tuition. And he's going around, because people say, I don't want to do that. And he's just scraping it in. But when he graduated after 4 years, no tuition bill. See, there's money in poop. You just have to know what you're looking at. Now, if we're going to applaud the Lord, let's applaud the Lord. The idea of us understanding. Here's what I learned. Change your thinking. It changes your income. So there's things that we have to stop thinking, and then there's some other things we have to start thinking. So this servant, I would say to him, stop following, start leading. See, he was paralyzed. He didn't know what to do. No boss yelling at him, do this now, do that now. The master went on a journey. He's sitting there stuck. He's sitting on his hands. Start leading. In other words, practice self-leadership. There are things that's in your heart. Stop making excuses. Start making money. I want you to see that excuses are so easy. The servant that had the one bag of gold, there he is standing there in front of his master with the one bag of gold. He's saying, Master, watch his excuses. I knew that you are a hard man. I knew that you reap where you didn't even sow. You gather where you have not even scattered seed. So I was afraid. So I just hid your money in the ground. Here, this is what belongs to you. The master, he said, look, if you're afraid, if that was really the issue, what you should have done is taken my money the $19,000 I entrusted to you to manage and put it in the bank so it would gain interest. I checked out and investigated what was the interest rate in the first century during the time of Jesus. It was 12% interest. Now the Bible is silent as to how long the master went away. So let's project 1 year. Let's assign 1 year as his time. 1 year interest, 12% interest on $19,000 is $2,280. Had that servant really been afraid and then, to play it safe, invested the $19,000 in the bank at the prevailing interest rate of 12%, then the master would have come back after a year and had $21,280 to his name, rather than losing money by him hiding the bag of money and putting it buried in the ground. I want you to see the idea. It's easy to make excuses. And I love the fact that Jesus emphasized that the master did not apologize for his perspective that, yes, I gather where I have not scattered seed. Yes, I reap where I have not sown. In other words, I make no apology about my making money. Neither should you. Never apologize to people because you are creative and you're doing something you enjoy or doing something you do good at, or solving other people's problems as a means of making money. Never apologize for that. But I see there's some things you have to stop doing, other things you have to start doing. You have to stop procrastinating and start producing. See, the servant must have talked and thought and took all this time to rationalize and never launching a business. You have to start producing. Stop feeding fear. Start feeding faith. Fear makes you paralyzed. It makes you immobile. It keeps you stuck. Well, what happens if I fail? Lots of people have failed. Get up again. Try again. There's risk in making money. Go for it. Don't sit around and saying, well, I just want to play it safe. Don't play it safe. Make calculated risk. Feed your faith. Greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. Stop giving up. Start getting up. Don't talk yourself out of a blessing. Talk yourself into monetizing you solving other people's problems. When you solve their problems, it means that you've provided for them a great product or a great service. That's not wrong. Now, this is a great time for you to pull out your smart device. We're going to keep that picture up there. Take a snap of it. And it's because you may need to have this lesson with your kids. You can put my name to the side. I don't care. Get credit. They said, man, mom's sharp, dad's sharp, assuming it's sharp. And if you're helping your kid make money, they're going to be happy with you. And if you say, well, I'm teaching this on the job, white out my name. Go for it. I won't tell my intellectual property attorney to give you a ring. I'll just, let you use it. But I want you to understand the idea is I want you to be able to grow. You may say, Pastor, what's your motivation? My motivation is just like when I teach on parenting, just like when I teach on marriage, just when I teach on soul care, my motivation is that you become the best you possible. And so now I'm teaching on making money. Why? I want you to be able to fulfill your money-making potential. I want you to become a multimillionaire. And so I have there's also another side of my interest. I want you to tithe, so that our church can reach more people for Jesus and fulfill and expand the kingdom of God in the earth realm. So go ahead, there's nothing wrong with that. I've told you my motivation. There's nothing hidden here. I told you what my motives are. I want you to do well. So when you're doing well, you do good. Is there anything wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that. But just don't forget it. Do you know there's money in solving people's problems, even with junk? Omar, Soliman, and Nick Friedman, while in their 20s, they co-founded a company, College Hunks, hauling junk. What do? They moved junk around in people's house when they wanted that, or they removed junk from people's homes if they wanted that. In 2017, college hunks hauling junk generated $100 million worth of business. Now, you can even buy a franchise for $200,000. One of their secret sauces is that they have these young guys dressed in golf shirts and khaki pants, and they're helping to declutter homes and business and life. And they're pulling down the money. I don't hate them. They learned how to solve people's problems. There's money in junk. See, when you look at it, you say, junk. When they looked at it, they saw money. And there's dignity and morality in helping provide a good service and a good product for people. And Jesus validated that in that very sermon. In fact, when he closed it out, he said, take the bag of gold from the guy who had the one bag, who did nothing with it, and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For the ones who have much, they'll gain much. And the ones who have little, they'll even lose the little that they have. How true. I don't know about you. I want to use the gifts and the talents and the abilities that God has put in me. And what I learned from this parable is this. What I'm doing right now, I'm being tested by God as to what I will do with what He's entrusted to my care. He's called you and me to live a 13:22 life. Proverbs 13:22 says, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. I must, for the sake of the next generation, maximize my income and leave a legacy that's not just spiritual and not just in terms of motivation and motives and values, but also leave a financial legacy that when they start their life and on their watch they can extend their reach and extend the kingdom of God because I gave them a leg up. May you give your children and your children's children a leg up.